MAGA supporting farmers are whining that the USAID is withholding funds for farmers for conservation programs. The farmers are learning that their conservation payments are frozen because those contracts were funded through the Inflation Reduction Act. You know that thing that they hated that Biden got passed? Oh, but y'all benefited from that, huh? Skylar Holden is a cattle producer in eastern Missouri. You know, the state that voted for Donald Trump over Vice President Kamala Harris. He shared his story, his whining, crying story on TikTok.
I need your help to save my farm and many other farms. I wanted to give you guys an update on what we figured out with our contract through NRCS. So to give you some backstory, if you haven't watched the previous video, please go out, watch that previous video I've got on there. We are possibly going to lose our farm if NRCS doesn't hold up their contract with us on the EQIP program. So the reason that they're not able to hold up the contract is our EQIP program, which is cost sharing on fences, waters, a well, and some seedings, was funded by the Inflation Reduction Act. Because of the executive orders, there's a pause or a freeze on the funding through the Inflation Reduction Act, and they're not able to pay out on the stuff that we completed or anything going forward. But the issue I have is I've already done a bunch of the work, already paid for the material, already paid for the labor, so I'm out all that cost, and I use my farm operating expenses in order to do those projects, because per contract, I knew that I was going to get cost sharing refunds on the stuff once completed, but now that it's completed, they're saying that they're unable to provide the funds because of the freeze on the Inflation Reduction Act funds. So I reached out to a couple different senators and Congress people. So I reached out to Ann Wagner's office. I have not heard back from them. I reached out to Josh Hawley's office. I have heard back from him, not from him personally, but from his office. And they are looking into it because they said that this should not be happening. The intention was not to take away the funding from the farmers, but doing the Inflation Reduction Act, cutting those costs, then it's also taken away from the programs that those programs helped out. So it's in the works, but what I need from you guys is if you could please share this, tag your representatives, tag your senators. I need to get some ground on this because I'm not the only one this is affecting. So there are other farmers in the comments saying that they're in the same boat that I'm in because they signed these contracts, and the contracts, even so whenever I looked into the contract, I made sure that that funding was set aside. It wasn't funding that, oh, we hope it's there whenever it's done. I made sure that that funding was set aside so that way before I made these business decisions, I knew that funding was there per contract. So they're backing out on the contract because they don't have the funding. They can't release the funds. So please tag the representatives. Please tag the senators. I need to get some ground on this. We need to help me and other farmers out. We've got to get this funding paid out. I don't care if they don't do it in the future. The problem is there was contracts in place. Multiple farms made business decisions, and multiple farms are going to sink if we don't get traction on this and get those funds unfrozen.
You're wrong for that, Roman.
I'm just broken apart that, you know, he did all of this work and he's not getting his money. And I'm just torn apart that, you know, he called his senator, Josh Hawley, to help him out of this. And I guess I'm really sad by this because if you go to my iPad, these are the people who voted for and against the Inflation Reduction Act. All Democrats voted for it. All Republicans voted against it. And if I go down here over to the H's, what will you see? Right there, Hawley, Republican, Missouri, voted No. So the person you're crying to didn't vote for the very program that's funding you right now. This is what happens when y'all F around and find out. So I keep telling y'all, the only thing I have for you is Scarface's No Tears. Tommy, I don't feel sorry for any of these people.
Yeah.
Will I feel sorry if he loses his farm? No, I won't.
Well, listen, I just want to say three things right now. Number one, bro, too long, did not read. Number two, is there a funding freeze on tiny ass violins? And number three, I thought it was really interesting the way all of a sudden he forgot the name of the person who signed all those executive orders with all very passive voice, like these executive orders got signed, and I don't know how that happened. You know, the humana. It was Trump that did that to you, buddy. But I'm, look, I'm not going to delight in somebody else's misery. And plus,
no.
All that.
No. Hey, I'm sorry. And I know everybody, they've been asking me, brother, please stop cussing. So I ain't going to use the 4-letter word I really want to use. But damn that. I will delight in their pain. Do you know why? Because they're delighting in the pain of poor people. They're delighting in the pain of migrants. They're delighting in the pain of black people. These are the people who are cheering DEI. These are the people who cheered the January 6th domestic terrorists. These are the people who constantly vote against their economic interest, and then they whine and complain, oh my God, I can't believe this. These are the idiots who go, I can't stand Obamacare, but please don't take my Affordable Care Act.
Yeah, no, I mean, look, basically, I just don't want my mom to call me home, for glorying in somebody else's misery. But like, you're absolutely right.
My dad won't send me a text shortly saying, keep giving them hell, son. Go ahead, Tommy.
Yeah, it makes me want to shake them more than anything else. There was also been a lot of these headlines about people who literally, there's one lady who was on stage with Trump, and now she's like, oh, I can't believe that he's doing all this deportation.
That was a Venezuelan woman. We showed her last week.
Yeah. I mean, I don't want to laugh at him, but I want to, like, here's the thing, like they're playing in your face because Trump and his people will say, we didn't hide any of this. We said we were going to do all this.
Julian, I'm laughing in their faces.
Me too, Roland. Me too. I mean,
I'm petty like that.
I'm not petty, but maybe
I am.
But these people are getting what they voted for. If they didn't know, he told them what he was going to do. Not only he tell it to them, he also detailed it. He and his minions detailed it in Project 2025. And then he says, oh, no, that has nothing to do with me. Now, look at the blueprint. Look at who he put in charge of OMB. Look at who will be stopping money from moving if they have their way. So, that little man talking about his farm, you know what, you and your farm, too, is how I feel about it. I don't feel sorry for it. At the end of the day, these are people who revel in deportations. They revel in all the things that are happening bad. And then they didn't understand. We're all intertwined in this country. Bad stuff that happens to black folks is going to happen to you too. If you work for the federal government and you voted for that man, just watch what's going to happen. And we could go down the list and talk about all these things. I know a white lady who lives in my neighborhood who has a disabled child. She voted for that man. And now she asked me, I went outside today for something, and she said, do you think that they're going to cut the funding for disabled children? I said, what do you think? And I said, look, I told you not to talk to me because it never turns out right. I don't try to cuss, but sometimes it just happens, like spontaneous eruption. So the last time the lady said something to me, one of my neighbors, she said, you so cold. I said, just tell her not to talk to me, and we'll have no problems. I'll say hello from across the street. Hi, how you doing? But she's wondering, is disabled child stuff going to be cut? Yes, it's going to be cut, lady. I don't understand what did these people think? He was going to carve out and say, well, we're going to cut this, except for the white people. We're going to cut this.
Yes. No, that is what they thought. I'm a Congo. That's literally what they thought. Even these nutcase Latinos, what are you doing? You weren't supposed to take my wife. You're supposed to take them. No, her too.
Yeah, I mean, this is the thing. People say this is not what they voted for, blah, blah, blah. This is what they voted for, just not for them. They just thought it was not going to affect them in some way, shape, or form. And what the guy and what was proved, what I saw that proved that point even more when the farmer was talking, was he said something towards the end of, after this, they can do whatever. But he was basically like, let those of us who made our money and paid for our equipment already, call them so we can get paid. After that, whatever happens, happens. And again, that shows the selfishness of so many of these individuals who thought that this stuff was not going to come for them. But the other part of this is going to be interesting is that, remember in 2018, when the whole thing happened with the farmers and the soybeans and stuff, and it was all those billions of dollars cut to save for them, many of those farmers, rather than blaming Trump, they looked at him as their savior. And they said Trump came in. And so even these guys who are struggling now, if Trump reverses something or, Hawley gets an exemption for these particular people, they're going to say Trump saved us, as opposed to looking at Trump as the person who made this happen. And so for some reason, Trump, with these particular guys who he has a hold on, he keeps winning with them, because even though he's beating them down, just like he's beating other people down, if he can come in and show that he's the savior, they're still going to ride with him. And that's why these guys, if they're really mad, then they're going to get politically active and not beg people like Hawley, but challenge them to actually get out there and fight. But many of them are not doing that. They're just begging for help for themselves.
Let me be perfectly clear. I'm going to say it again. And I told y'all, I told you, Tommy. My daddy said, that's right, son. Give them hell for what they created. I told you. I mean, I do not, all of these people who are falling for the okie doke, they're getting played. I don't feel sorry for them. I understand pain, but my deal is, we told you for a year we told you for 3 years what Project 2025 was. We told you, and they told you what they were going to do. But these people, they effed around and they found that, and now they're finding out, and hashtag we tried to tell you.
Hello, I'm Isaac Hayes III, founder and CEO of Fanbase. And right now we're accepting investors in our $17 million round to revolutionize the future of social media. Today, for just $399, you can own 60 shares of stock in Fanbase at $665 a share. Go to startengine.com/fanbase and invest today. While the big platforms have grown too massive and disconnected from their users, Fanbase is building a platform where creators and users truly come first. We've already raised $8.6 million from everyday investors who believe in this vision, and now you can join them. This is your chance to invest in a social media tech company with over 1 million users that is disrupting media by allowing anyone to reach all of their following and monetize their content from day one. The market is changing, big platforms are failing to serve their users, and Fanbase is stepping up to fill the gap. Don't wait until it's too late. Invest now. Invest for yourself and your future. Go to startengine.com/fanbase and own the future of social media.
Appetite for destruction. In the year 2032, the world teetered on the brink of disaster as humanity faced a nightmare no one could have foreseen. Food, the very thing that sustained life, had turned into a weapon of terror. It all began in a remote factory in China, shrouded in smoke and shadows. Rows upon rows of vegetables grew in eerie greenhouses, their leaves trembling under artificial lights. Workers moved through the rows, their expressions tense. Whispers filled the factory, something was wrong with the crops. Lee WEI, a seasoned worker, approached a row of tomatoes, each fruit unnaturally large and almost translucent. As he reached out, one of the tomatoes suddenly lurched forward, releasing vine-like tendrils that wrapped around his wrist, pulling him into its soft, pulpy flesh. Lee's scream was swallowed by the shadows as the tomato consumed it. For more, click Linktree in bio.
In a quaint village, Jamie, a young baker living in a mushroom-shaped house, is beloved for his delicious, mushroom-shaped cakes. Lucas, a skilled handyman known for helping the townspeople, frequently visits Jamie for treats and to lend a hand. When Jamie's baking supplies are delayed due to a supplier going out of business, he becomes distraught. Lucas comforts him, and in that moment, they realize their growing feelings for each other. As Lucas helps Jamie find a new supplier and supports him through his struggles, their bond deepens into love. Soon, the village comes to see them as a perfect pair, celebrating their sweet connection. To get your copy of The Baker and the Handyman's Sweet Connection, please visit lulubooks.com. This is an electronic book, so be sure to have an EPUB or PDF reader to enjoy this heartwarming story by Ariel Williams.
To view more ebooks, click Linktree in bio.